They said it was in development hell. Those were the exact words that set the entire Grand Theft Auto community ablaze with speculation. Imagine the anticipation swirling around a game as iconic as Grand Theft Auto 6, then multiply that thrill tenfold the moment you hear that Rockstar Games' most crucial story arc might be undergoing massive reworks. The heart of our conversation today is the final chapter of Grand Theft Auto 6. What is really happening behind the scenes? And is this so-called development hell nothing more than a dramatic rumor? Or could it hint at deeper issues within Rockstar's creative engine? And perhaps most intriguingly, how will these changes shape the next evolution of open-world storytelling? In this deep dive, we will decode the whispers about the fabled last chapter, dissect the claims of cuts and revisions, and explore every guess, every rumor, and every shred of alleged insider information about the shape of what might be Rockstar's most ambitious narrative to date. In this long-form breakdown, you will learn when the game might drop, why that estimated release date has shifted more than once, and how all of this could affect the final moments of the storyline itself. Along the way, we will also identify some of the biggest revelations that leakers such as GameRoll have provided, and see whether these bits of intel match Rockstar's pattern of game development in the past. To begin, let's set the stage. The mysterious user known as GameRoll made waves long before the second trailer of Grand Theft Auto 6 was released. They claimed to have crucial details that only someone on the inside would know. Some fans dismissed these comments as typical internet chatter, but suddenly, GameRoll dropped a bombshell by revealing the last names of the main characters, Jason and Lucia, even before those details had gone public. That one move was enough to earn a sizable following among the faithful who track every rumor, leak, and snippet about Rockstar's next big project. Then came the claims that Grand Theft Auto 6 would revolve around 5 chapters, reminiscent in structural terms of Rockstar's past releases, though not identical. The leak highlighted that Red Dead Redemption 2 had 6 chapters plus an epilogue, essentially creating the same approximate length, but broken into slightly different narrative chunks. For the upcoming Grand Theft Auto, the difference was smaller: 5 major chapters, presumably packed with open-world freedom, meticulous narrative arcs, and the trademark socio-political jabs that the franchise is known for. People ate up every new detail, from those small gameplay mechanics, like being able to free roam simultaneously with Jason and Lucia, to bigger changes, such as the rumored removal of prone, modifications to the cover system, and even hints that certain planned features get cut during production. However, the biggest twist came when GameRoll said the last chapter, the 5th one, was in major trouble, stuck in so-called development hell. Development hell is a term that stirs equal parts dread and excitement among fans. It suggests that the writing, the narrative pacing, or even the mechanical design of the game is in flux. Maybe the devs are rewriting major parts of the storyline to tighten the tension, or perhaps they realize that certain gameplay elements in the final moments do not align with the overall experience. Regardless of the cause, once you label something as stuck in development hell, it implies that big changes and big headaches might be happening in the background. Shortly after word got out that the final chapter of the game was in this dreaded condition, the rumor mill spiraled into chaos. Posters on social media flooded comment sections with wild theories. Rockstar might be completely redoing the last portion of the game because of controversial subject matter, or maybe pivoting to a bigger or different conclusion. Some guessed that the final chapter was set in an entirely separate location, like one more city beyond the reimagined Vice City environment, and that the team either was not satisfied with how it connected to the rest of the narrative, or discovered that they simply lacked time and resources to fully implement it. Of course, fans also remember how Rockstar approached Red Dead Redemption 2's structure, with its massive epilogue that thoroughly tied up the storyline of Arthur Morgan while setting up future events. Some wonder if Grand Theft Auto 6 might do the same. Will it tie up every thread left by earlier games in the series, bridging the gap between multiple eras and characters such that the final sequence feels like a massive payoff? Or will it stand alone, an entirely fresh start offering new comedic dissection of American life, new expansions, and expansions on expansions? That is the question. And apparently, Rockstar is not entirely sure what that final shape should be. According to the same leaker, large volumes of content from the final chapter have been cut entirely. And it is this massive revamp that is fueling the so-called development hell. That means late-stage changes that can slow down the entire production pipeline, as the audio team, the narrative designers, the game testers, and the animators might all need to go back to the drawing board. And if Rockstar is indeed reworking around half of that final portion, then the release date rumors might well shift once again. Right now, the word on the street, reinforced by GameRoll, is that Grand Theft Auto 6 is slated to release on the 26th of May, 2026. That timeline, while of course might be far from guaranteed. Rockstar and its parent company, Take-Two Interactive, have both discussed how they are focusing on creative vision over meeting an arbitrary date. They have been quoted as saying that the title was delayed so that the team could achieve its creative vision without limitations, a stance that longtime fans both admire and dread. Sure, it might mean that we get a more polished, more cohesive experience, but it might also mean that we wait even longer, biting our nails in suspense. Regardless of the actual date, the real question is, what is going on with that final portion, the elusive Chapter 5 of Grand Theft Auto 6? Some sources say that Grand Theft Auto 6 might revisit older themes from previous titles, offering a kind of meta-commentary on the entire franchise. Others link the last chapter to a potential time skip, or a cameo from iconic characters like Michael or Franklin from earlier games, bridging generational gaps in a franchise that has always prided itself on reinvention. But let us pause for a moment to appreciate the magnitude of these changes. Developing a Grand Theft Auto game is no small feat. We are talking about a multi-billion-dollar brand, legions of developers across continents, and an audience so massive that even the slightest mention of a rumored glitch can light up the internet. Toss in the idea of restructuring an entire final act, and you can begin to sense the scale of the decision-making that is happening at Rockstar HQ. Meanwhile, skeptics doubt GameRoll's inside knowledge. They wonder if GameRoll might have gotten lucky with earlier leaks, or if perhaps their friend of a friend truly does have the inside track at Rockstar. GameRoll themselves stated that, while they trust their source, they cannot provide direct proof. It is a second-hand connection, they've explained. A friend of a Rockstar developer who occasionally reveals tidbits about the project. This is a story we have heard numerous times in the gaming world. Someone claims to know the cousin of a developer, or the friend of a video editor, who shared a secret over drinks one weekend. Yet interestingly, GameRoll got a few details right about the second trailer. That track record, as minor as it is, has fueled supporters to believe that more revelations are on the way. Now, let us focus on the creative implications of these rumored rewrites. Suppose Rockstar truly found that Chapter 5 did not align with the rest of the game. Does that mean it was too grand in scope? An attempt at an epic storyline that overshadowed everything else? Or could it have been too simplistic, not living up to the hype that players expect after potentially 50 hours or more of story content? Perhaps the rewrite aims to tighten the emotional connection between Jason, Lucia, and the city around them, so that the conclusion resonates. Fans suspect it might be a question of pacing. Grand Theft Auto storytelling tends to escalate near the finale, culminating in major shootouts, betrayals, or citywide showdowns that often reflect the greed and corruption of the fictional environment. If that final push fails to unify gameplay, narrative arcs, and open-world exploration, then the entire experience can feel unbalanced. Rockstar might be ensuring that the final set of missions is as immersive and unforgettable as possible. After all, with each Grand Theft Auto release, Rockstar aims to set a benchmark that everyone else will try to imitate for years to come. Of course, speculation can only take you so far. We do not know if the rumored cuts revolve around additional playable protagonists, expanded city maps, or entire storylines that involve the main duo's earlier relationships. One prominent theory claims that there was a huge side story involving a new antagonist introduced late in the game, and that Rockstar realized it needed more time to develop that backstory. Another rumor asserts that the final portion was so massive it felt almost like a different game, and that Rockstar is considering trimming it down or converting some elements into expansions or downloadable content. In any event, this level of rumor underscores the seriousness of a creative rework. That is exactly why so many voices in the community are following every post, every purported screenshot, every cryptic hint that emerges. Development hell might sound dramatic, but it can also be a sign that Rockstar is pushing for an even higher standard of quality. If one portion of the game is not living up to the legacy of Grand Theft Auto, you can be sure the team is going to fix it before that final release. If you love hearing about behind-the-scenes rumors, or if your pulse quickens at the very thought of a newly reimagined Vice City, consider leaving a friendly like to show you're as excited as we are. Big thanks for that support. It is one quick tap for you, but it goes a long way in fueling future deep dives. Now, returning to the million-dollar question, how does this final chapter fiasco tie into that second trailer. GameRoll claims that the trailer primarily featured footage from the first and third chapters, leaving out major reveals and heavier plot points from the latter half of the story. Now, that might seem obvious, given that Rockstar historically refrains from spoiling late-game content, but hearing that there is not even a fleeting glimpse of Chapter 4 or 5 leads some to wonder just how different the second half of the game might look compared to what they had originally intended. In the big picture, though, none of this is entirely out of character for Rockstar. People who followed the development of Red Dead Redemption 2 might remember that segments of that title's story also faced last-minute changes. Scenes were re-recorded, certain missions were scrapped, and entire lines of dialogue vanished in final cuts. Red Dead Redemption 2 ended up being a masterpiece. So, if the same formula leads to an even bolder final version of Grand Theft Auto 6, fans might just welcome it. But let's talk about the potential pressure from Take-Two Interactive. Because of the enormous cost and the massive hype, no publisher wants endless delays. Yet, if a creative team like Rockstar decides that the final section must be refined to meet their artistic vision, then so be it. Some fans worry that repeated delays might hamper the momentum or oversaturate the conversation with speculation that leads to disappointment if the final product doesn't align with the fantastic theories swirling around social media. But historically, Rockstar's approach is to polish until they are content. They rarely buckle under external deadlines if they feel the game is not yet where it needs to be. Looking at the swirling rumors, you might feel a surge of conflicting emotions. The excitement of anticipating a game you have waited for many years to see, and the concern that big rewrites could push the release date even further into the future. That tension can be thrilling in its own right, fueling countless debates and arguments in online forums. Some players are all for waiting, if it means the final product will be that much better, while others are anxious for any new content, even if it means fewer last-minute rewrites. Interestingly, the potential rewriting of Chapter 5 highlights how big the stakes are. Grand Theft Auto is more than just a gaming series. It is a cultural phenomenon. The satirical lens it points at modern society influences mainstream conversations. If Rockstar is pivoting the final portion, they might be aiming for a conclusion that resonates with current events. A storyline that hits harder after everything the world has gone through in the past decade. Perhaps that is why they need more time to fine-tune the comedic or dramatic beats. On the other hand, the rumored rework might simply be about removing features that tested poorly. In an open world, multiple systems intersect, from crowd mechanics to how the game handles police response, dynamic weather, and random events. If Rockstar discovered that an integral final sequence was prone to breaking or felt out of place, they might have had no choice but to overhaul it. That sort of rewriting can be messy, involving everything from voice actors returning for re-recordings to the revised script lines that tie earlier missions together. And let us not forget that comedic edge that Grand Theft Auto is known for. Perhaps Rockstar discovered that the comedic tone in the final act did not mesh with the more serious arcs that unfold during the preceding chapters. So they decided to pivot, or maybe they found an even funnier angle to push the parody to new levels. Regardless, the result can be a better game, as long as the delays do not push the entire project too far off the rails. Now, speaking of comedic angles, let us lighten the mood and drop in a second quick invitation. If you are enjoying this look behind the scenes of Grand Theft Auto 6 and want more deep dives on leaked rumors, potential story arcs, and everything else in Rockstar's pipeline, feel free to subscribe. No pressure. Just letting you know, it is a great way to join the conversation and stay informed about future developments without missing a beat. As we head toward our conclusion, keep in mind that development hell might not be the ominous sign it is often made out to be. Many large-scale games, from high-profile first-person shooters to sprawling role-playing juggernauts, undergo phases of serious revision late in production. Sometimes these changes are what elevate a game from good to legendary. The biggest question for fans remains the same. Will these rumored scrapped sections make the final act of Grand Theft Auto 6 more concise and effective? Or will their absence hamper the scale and ambition that many have come to expect? However it pans out, the cycle of rumors is unlikely to fade anytime soon. We will keep hearing about potential expansions, surprise cameo appearances, mind-blowing twists, and changed endings until the game is finally in players' hands. And even after launch, you can bet that the Grand Theft Auto community will dissect every mission, line of dialogue, and hidden Easter egg, searching for traces of what might have been, comparing the final product to the leaked concept art and rumored content from these earlier days. At this point, the best advice one can give is a mixture of excitement and patience. The chance of a lifetime to explore a brand new version of Vice City, and possibly beyond is on the horizon. But if leaks about reworks prove accurate, we might have further to wait than some originally hoped. Still, if there is one thing Rockstar has shown over the decades, it is their commitment to delivering experiences that push the boundaries of what open-world gaming can be. In the end, our conversation returns to that often repeated rumor. The elusive Chapter 5 is still being molded, chiseled, or perhaps wholly resurrected into something that might surpass everyone's expectations. The tension between the desire for a polished ending and the impatience of fans longing for release is at the heart of this drama. And with each passing day, speculation grows, as does the unwavering hype for a title that could define an entire gaming generation. Whatever the truth behind Rockstar's final steps, whether big revelations or subtle rewrites, Grand Theft Auto 6 promises to be a new milestone. So, try to look at these leaks not as harbingers of doom, but as glimpses into a creative process that can be messy, unpredictable, and profoundly exciting. With each iteration, Rockstar aims to refine what they have and make it worthy of the franchise's name. And if that means we get a more cohesive, enthralling final chapter that ties Jason and Lucia's tale together in a way that resonates for years to come, then maybe a bit of development hell was worth the wait.